Are you ready to do story problems with algebra? I know. Is anyone really ever ready for that? But we're going to give it a try. So we're going to learn how to write and solve algebraic equations from story problems. Um, so we're going to give it a shot here. So these are the types of problems you're going to see. The second of two numbers is 5 more than twice the first. Their sum is 80. Find the numbers. Now some people just will do guess and check and figure it out. And then some of us are like, I just don't know. What do I do? So here's the steps. What I recommend doing is set up and define what your variable means. So off to the side on my paper, I would write, okay, well, there's a first number and there's a second number. And the first number, I'm just going to call x because I don't know what it is. But I know the second of the two numbers is 5 more than, so 5 plus, twice the first. So if the first number is x, I got to double my x. So 5 more than twice the first. So when I'm able to identify what my variables are, it really helps to start writing an equation. Notice the sentence here says their sum is 80. So our next step is write an equation based off the information given. So their sum is 80. So if I add this number and this number, I get 80. So let's do that. So x plus 5 plus 2x equals 80. So we've written an equation. Now we just need to solve it. So let's do it. How do we solve it? All right, so we can combine like terms. I have an x plus a 2x, and that's going to give me 3x plus 5. And now we'll do order of operations backwards to get that x alone. So the opposite of adding 5 is to subtract. Subtract. We're going to subtract 5. So I have 3x plus 5 take away 5, so that equals 0. So I just have my 3x. And 80 take away 5 is 75. All right, how do you get x alone? The opposite of multiplying by 3 is to divide by 3. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we have 1x, which is what we need. That means x is alone. And 75 divided by 3 is 25. All right, so now we're just all excited. Oh my gosh, I wrote an equation, I solved it. This is so fantastic. But that's not all. You now need to go back and answer the question. The question is to find the numbers. Well, I need to find both numbers, the first number and the second number. So what does x equal 25 actually mean? Well, that means the first number is 25 because x has to be 25, right? Well, the second number is 5 more than twice x. So if I double the 25, I'm at 50, and then add 5, and I'm at 55. So when I answer the question, I'll say the two numbers are 25 and 55. And that's how I'd go about solving this one. All right, well, I'm sure you can answer all of them from here on out. But let's just do another one together. This one has a triangle. A triangle has 3 angles. Of course, it has 3 angles. It's a triangle. That measure 2x plus 10, 2x minus 20, and x plus 45. Find the measures of the angles. Before you can do this problem at all, you need to go, wait a second. All angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Because if you know all angles of a triangle add up to 180, then you'll be able to do the next step. We're going to set up and define what your variables mean. So I have 3 angles in my triangle. The first angle is 2x plus 10. What's the second angle? 2x minus 20. And the third angle, x plus 45. Very good. Now we can write an equation based off the information given. So all angles of a triangle add up to 180. So if I add these 3 numbers up, or these 3 expressions up, I should get 180. So that's what I do. That's how I write my equation. So once I know what I'm working with, it's a lot easier to set up the equation. So there's my first angle, 2x plus 10. My second angle, 2x minus 20. My third angle, x plus 45. All angles in a triangle add up to 180. And now I can solve my equation. So let's see here. Let's group up our matches. 2x plus 2x plus 1x. So we have a 5x. 10 take away 20 is negative 20, or negative 20. 10 take away 20 is negative 10, plus 45 is 35. So we've just combined like terms, and now we're in a good position to solve. So what do you want to get rid of first, the 5 times x or the plus 35? Of course, the plus 35. So we subtract 35 from both sides, and we have 5x equals 145. And now what? That's right, divide. The opposite of multiplying by 5 is divide. We divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1x, and 145 divided by 5 is 29. So what does that mean? Just because you solved it, you're not done. You have to go back and answer the question. The question is, find the measures of the angles. Well, okay. I got my first, second, and third angle. So if x is 29, I put it right here next to the 2. So 2 times 29, 58, plus 10. I've got a 68. All right, second angle. 2x minus 20, so 2 times 29 is 58, minus 20 is 38. All right. Now I got to put my 29 right here. 29 plus 45, so I add those two up and I get 74. And I can check my work because look, take your calculator out if you want or add it up in your head. 68 plus 38 plus 74 happens to equal 180. So the answer is the three angles are 68 degrees, 38 degrees, and 74 degrees. Ta-da! Look, we're writing equations. We're writing algebra equations together. Oh, look. We should put a bow on this. It could be a present. A rectangular prism has a volume of 210 centimeters cubed. Find the width if the length is 5 centimeters and the height is 6 centimeters. All right, so step one, we're going to set up and define what your variables mean. So they gave us volume, length, width, and height. So they gave me the volume, so I need to write that down, 210 centimeters cubed. They gave me a length, they said it's 5. They gave me a height, they said it was 6 centimeters. I don't know my width, so that's what I'm solving for. So you can use any variable you want. I'm just going to use W for width. I thought, well, that was cute. Now that I've defined what my variables mean, meaning I know the W is going to be width, and I know what information they gave me, I can write an equation. So look at this. Write the formula for the problem and substitute what you were given. This is a volume problem. So what is the volume of a rectangular prism? What's the formula for it? Volume equals length times width times height. So let's substitute in what I know. I know the volume is 210, so I can write 210 right there. The length is 5, and the height is 6. So I can just substitute that right in. Now I'm going to do step 3, solve the equation. All right, well, I got to work on the right side because I have a 5 times a W times a 6, so 5 times 6 is 30. Now how do I get W alone? It's 30 times W. The opposite of multiplying by 30 is divide. Divide by 30. And 210 divided by 30 is 7. So 7 equals W. So we can get all excited. We're done. The answer is 7. But you do need to go back and answer the question. And the question is find the width. So let's answer the question. The width of the rectangular prism is 7 centimeters. We even included our units. We're so good. All right, well, that one wasn't too tough. It was length times width times height. How about this one? The volume of a cylinder is 314.2 inches cubed. Find the height if the radius is 5 inches. There's a lovely cylinder. All right, well, again, we always want to write down what you know. Anytime you get one of these problems or the story problems you get, I just start writing down, okay, they gave me this information. What information did they give me? They gave me volume. I'm looking for height. I need a radius. What volume did they give me? 314.2 inches cubed. They gave me a radius, 5 inches. They did not give me a height, so I gave it a variable of h. So I always just start writing those things down right up front because it helps to organize what I'm looking for. So the next thing I do is I need to write the formula for this problem. Well, this is volume of a cylinder. So if you don't have that formula memorized, that's okay. You could go look it up because you have it on your formula sheet. And volume is pi radius squared times height, pi r squared h. So substitute now what you were given. So it's important to know, oh, I got this information because what's going to go for V? 314.2. Pi, now because this answer of volume is not in terms of pi, I am going to use 3.14 for pi. They gave me a radius, it's 5. So I'm going to have 314.2 equals 3.14, I'm going to use a rounded form for pi, times my radius, which is 5 squared. All right, so how do you solve it now? Oh, because that's the next step. We have to solve the equation. Well, I have to do exponents before I can multiply. So we've got to take care of our 5 to the second power, and 5 squared is 25. 25. Now we can multiply 3.14 times 25. By the way, this is where I have my calculator out. I'm not doing that in my head. Okay, that's 78.5. Is that what you got? Okay, good. And the opposite of multiplying by 78.5 is to divide. Divide. So we divide both sides. And yes, I do have my calculator out right now. 314.2 divided by 78.5 equals, and there's this really long answer. And even though I put dot, 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 it's not repeating. It just keeps going. Because we did use a rounded form for pi, we are going to get a very long answer. So what do we write as the answer? It says go back and answer the question. And it says find the height. Well, my rule of thumb is they gave me volume to 1 decimal place. I'm going to give them height to 1 decimal place. And it just so happens it's 4.00. So I'm going to write down the height is The height of the cylinder is 4.0 inches. So that way no one's wondering if it's 4.9, 4.7, 4.2. I just went to one decimal place, and that's just my rule of thumb. So you can use whatever thumbs and rules you have written on your thumbs, but that's just kind of what I was going with. All right, so let's check it out on another cylinder. And this is lateral surface area. This is like if you had the tube after you used up all of the paper towels. And my kids, we call it a doot-to-doer, because what's the first thing we do after we take off the paper towels? We put it next to our mouth and go doot-to-doo, doot-to-doo. And that's what you do with one-year-olds, is you have a doot-to-doer. And then they fight over it. And when they start eating it, you take it away. But that's what lateral surface area of a cylinder is. It's basically the paper towel roll tube, because there's no ends on it. Oh, I didn't make that hollow. Oh, bummer. Okay. Step 1, set up and define what your variables mean. I got distracted. They want lateral surface area, or they gave us lateral surface area. They gave us height, I think. No, they didn't. They gave us radius. The lateral surface is 351.86 kilometers squared. It's got kilometers squared. Oh my gosh, that's like the biggest paper towel roll in the world. The radius is 7 kilometers. And the height they didn't give us. So I'm going to use h. So now, do you know what the formula is for finding lateral surface area of a cylinder? If not, you have your formula sheet, so let's write down the formula. The formula is 2 pi rh. Basically, it's circumference times height. That's what 2 pi r is, circumference, then times height. All right, so let's substitute what we know. They gave us a lateral surface area, so we're going to put that 351.86 here for LSA. We have 2 times pi. Now, this is to 2 decimal places. It's not in terms of pi, so I'm going to write 3.14 for pi. My radius is 7, and my h is going to be h, because I just don't know what it is. So there we go. Substitute away. All right, so how do you solve it? We need to multiply everything on the right. So 2 times 3.14 times 7, and I don't know what h is, so it just has to stay there. And I have 43.96 times h. How do you get h alone? That's right. So you're going to type in your calculator 351.86 divided by 43.96 equals 8.00409 dot dot dot. Again, another really, really long answer. But we need to answer the question. And the question is, find the height of the cylinder. So we're going to write the height of the cylinder is, and again, this one was to 2 decimal places. I'm going to write it to 2 decimal places. Just, cover my bases. I don't know what the answer in the textbook would say. But the 4 is going to tell the 0 to stay at 0 because it's not going to round up. So the height of the cylinder is 8.00 kilometers. That's just how I would go. That's how I'm rolling with it. All right. Now, at any point during this video conversation that we are having, because of course I know you're talking back to me, politely you're talking back, you can pause, work the problem out yourself, come back, turn it back on, and then check the answer. You can even fast forward through me. It won't hurt my feelings because I won't even know you've done it. So at any time, you can do that. Just don't tell me. All right, number 6. A rectangle has a perimeter of 40 feet. Most of us like perimeter problems. Find the width of the rectangle if its length is 12.5. Are you getting the steps? Because the first step is to set up and define what your variables mean. What did they give me? They gave me a perimeter. I need to find a width. They gave me a length. So you write down what they have. I have a 40-foot perimeter. I have a 12.5 length, 12.5 feet length, and I have a width that I don't know. So write the formula for the problem and substitute what you were given. So what's the formula for perimeter? Well, perimeter means I have to add 2 widths, because there's 2 widths, and 2 lengths, because there's 2 lengths on a rectangle. So perimeter is 2 W's plus 2 L's. Now let's substitute what we were given. So they gave me a perimeter of 40, so I'm going to put my 40 in for P. 2W, because I don't know what the W is. 2 times L, so 2 times 12.5. So we've substituted in. Let's go ahead and solve the equation. Let's do it. Let's do it. So what do you do first? That's right. 2 times 12.5 is 25. Now what? I know, subtract 25 from both sides, and 40 take away 25 is 15 equals 2W. And now are you like going, wait, something's wrong. It doesn't go in evenly. It's okay. We're going to divide by 2. It'll work out 7.5. I mean, look, length was 12.5. It's okay if the width is 7.5. But now we need to go back and answer the question. Find the width. So we're going to write the width of the rectangle is 7.5 feet. Ta-da! All right, I don't know, is there any more? Number 7, find the area of the shaded region. Wow! So when I look at these problems, I look at it as a sheet of paper with something cut out. And in this case, it was a rectangular sheet of paper and someone cut out a really good circle. So when you find the area of the shaded region, you first find the area of the larger shape, which would be like the sheet of paper. Then you find the area of the smaller shape, like what you cut out, and then find the difference between the two. That would be what's left of the paper. All right? So let's do it. The larger shape is a rectangle, and to find the area is length times width. So we do 8 times 15. We have our length and our width. And 8 times 15 is 120. So we just found the area of the entire sheet of paper, 120 inches squared. Yes! Now we find the area of the smaller shape, so which is a circle, and I'm going to use the formula pi radius squared. Because I have to subtract my answer from 120, I am going to substitute 3.14 for pi, so I'm just going to estimate, because otherwise I can't subtract a pi from a regular number. I've got to actually use it. So I have 3.14 times 4. Where did I get 4 from? I mean, it's got an 8 and a 15. Where did the 4 come from? Well, notice the circle goes from one side of the rectangle all the way to the other side. And do you know if this width is an 8, that the width over here is an 8? Well, what's the distance from this side to that side? It's still an 8. So the diameter of this circle is 8, but they want a radius, so I cut it in half, because a radius is half a diameter, which is 4. So that's where the 4 came from. Alrighty, so we have 16 times 3.14. So the area of the circle is 50.24 inches squared. So the next step is find the difference between the two. Subtract! We're going to subtract. 120 take away 50.24 equals 69.76. And what have we been saying the whole time? The last step is to answer the question. So the area of the shaded region is 69.76 inches squared. Do you like those complete sentences? They're fabulous, I know. All right, well, let's just do one more problem just because we've had so much fun together, and it's a triangle one. All right, in a triangle, one angle is twice the smallest angle, and the third angle is 40 more than the smallest angle. Find all three angles. Can you do this on your own? You can pause me right now. I won't know you're ignoring me. Go ahead, try it. Then you come back. Okay, here's what I would do. Set up and define what your variable means. I know I've been saying this the whole time. All right, well, I've got a small angle. It's the smallest angle. I've got a second angle and a third angle. That's all I know. Did they tell me how big the smallest angle is? No. So I'm just going to put X there. It says one angle is twice the smallest angle. Well, that could be the second angle is twice. So how would I show twice the angle? Yeah, 2x. The third angle is 40 more than. So what does 40 more than mean? Add x plus 40. 40 more than the smallest angle. You could have written 40 plus x. Either way works for me. Yeah, you did it. Now, we need to write an equation based off the information given. But what would be the equal sign? I mean, we're talking about angles in a triangle. Do you remember anything about angles in a triangle? They all add up to, that's right, to 180. So we're going to add the smallest angle, the second angle, and the third angle, and they add up to 180 degrees. Now we can solve. All right, x plus 2x plus 4, 1x plus 2x plus 1x is 4x plus 40. We're going to subtract that 40 from both sides. I know this is like the easy part. You're like, I can do this. I've got this down. 4x equals 140. Now I divide. I'm dividing by 4. X equals 35. But what does that really mean? Let's answer the question. We need to find the measure of all three angles. Find all three angles. Well, what does x mean? The smallest angle would be 35, right? The second angle is 2 times 35, so the second angle is 70. And the third angle is x plus 40, so 35 plus 40, which is 75. And then you can add up those three angles, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I got it right, this is so awesome. And we did it. Look at that. So now you're getting to a rhythm. You're figuring out how to write equations and set up variables and know what to write and do when you're solving these algebraic problems. And you can do it with a little bit more confidence, I hope. So you can always email me if you have questions. I'm here for you. I got you covered. I got your back. So you have a great day and have fun in math. Keep smiling. Positivity goes a long way in math.